So many crazy things have been happening around Diddy. Diddy's been doing some stuff from his jail cell that he should not be doing, and people are being intimidated. That's not good. It's not good at all. And a lot of people are calling into question, does Diddy actually have the power to be able to do all this stuff? And the answer is, yes, of course he does. Are you insane? Amala Ekpunobi was visited by Diddy's goons. Let's see what she has to say about that.
Hi everybody and welcome to the show. My name is Amala Ekpunobi. I do not plan on harming myself or taking my own life. I am not often in back alleys at night. I do not have any mysterious or untreated illnesses, and I like being alive. The reason I start the show out this way is if you're reading this headline and you're thinking there's no way this headline is true, she's clickbaiting us. This headline is absolutely true. I was visited by two private detectives today, and we're going to talk about what's going on there. Private investigators, I should say. At least that's what they owned up to being. We're going to talk about all of that. We were going to have a whole different show. We were just going to do a little Jubilee video today and react to that and respond to it. But of course, we were taken on a different course. Now, luckily, I actually have two witnesses to what took place today. My best friend, Risa, and Taylor, who's in Nashville.
It is true. What a day. Wow. Do we have a story for y'all? It's getting real, guys. That's all I can say.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what is going on right now. We're going to go on and go into the story. I guess this is going to be today's episode, so it's going to be a little bit of a story time. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out. Taylor and I were filming a video this morning, and we were on Zoom, as we often are. Me from my studio, Taylor from his humble abode. Now, as I was getting to the end of the video where I'm closing out, telling you guys to like and subscribe, I get a little bit of a text message from my best friend, Risa, whom I used to live with, and she's texting me saying, hey, there are two guys at the door right now, and they're asking about ads. I'll actually read the actual text that she sent me so we can get verbatim exactly what happened here. She called first, and I was filming, so I didn't pick up the call. The call goes through, and she says, call me so you can tell these guys you are not interested in ads. They're at my door. I'm being a bitch, is what Risa says. And I said, LOL, can I just call you in 1 minute? I'm thinking, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why two guys would be at your door asking about ads, but here we are in the...
Ads, like advertisements? Like, what does that mean?
Story. So I finish up filming my video. I call Risa. It's been a few minutes at this point. Apparently these guys are still at the door. Immediately when I pick up the phone, she's like, okay, when she picks up the phone, you're on speaker. And I'm like, what is going on? So one guy starts to speak up, and I'm sensing like a little bit of nervousness in his voice, but he's still there. He's talking. He's got what I would say is like a medium to thick-ish New York accent. And he's saying, you know, we just wanted to come and talk to you about the things that you speak about on your channel, and, you know, whether or not somebody pays you to say the things that you say. And
Yeah, somebody pays her. It's called YouTube. And all the people who give her super chats.
it was a very just vague question. I didn't know exactly how to answer that.
Yeah, you know what I would have done? Not fucking answered him. This is your answer right here. Get fucked.
So I answered back and said, you know, nobody pays me to say anything that I...
No. You should have just told him to get fucked. You shouldn't even give him an answer. I'm sorry.
I say on my channel. You guys know we've tried a couple sponsors on this show once or twice long ago. We've had no sponsors since. We get paid, you know, through YouTube ad revenue. And
if you have a badge, whether fake or not, I ain't talking to you, bro. Ain't happening.
And you know, the ad revenue from different platforms, but nobody's paying me directly to say anything. Now he goes on to say, to sort of talk about topics that I talk about on this show. And the immediate topic that he jumps to is, you know, you talk about P. Diddy and celebrities. Mind you, again, this guy's stumbling over his words, and he's not necessarily sounding so fluent in whatever message he's trying to get across.
Because he knows 100% that you're going to be talking about him, because Diddy's an idiot and paid him to do this anyway, even though he knew it was a bad idea. But that's all. Diddy's probably paying him a lot of money. And he didn't want to do this, but like, how you gonna turn down that much money? I don't know. That just seems like what's happened here to me. That's why the guy was nervous, because he knows he's gonna be talked about.
And I put this on speaker. So mind you, Taylor's on Zoom from Nashville. I have the phone to this microphone here. He's listening to everything that's being said. Risa is also there listening to everything that's being said. Okay, so I tell them, oh, I'm not paid by anybody to do this. why is it that you're asking these things? What are you interested in doing or hearing? And they said, oh, you know, if you were being paid by people to promote a certain message, we were here to, you know, offer you something else. And again, they go through the
Okay, I get it now. I get it now. They're trying to pay her off.
topics that I talk about on my show, and immediately it's P. Diddy and his connection to other celebrities. So all the red flags are going up. You know, in my mind here, hairs up on the back of my neck. I actually shot Risa a text at this very moment in the conversation and said like something along the lines of get away from these guys. I'll actually go back and read it so I know exactly what I said. Get away from this guy. Because at this point, only one man was speaking. Again, white man, thick-ish New York accent. Now, I'm probing this guy. Who do you work for? What is it that you're trying to pay me to do? Who are you inquiring about? What specifically are you asking me? Am I being paid to say on my channel? And this guy is just stumbling over his words. He doesn't know what to say. He starts saying, you know, oh, I watch your channel. You know, I'm a fan of your show. I appreciate the things you talk about. And then he goes back to the whole P. Diddy and this topic and this topic and this topic. So whoever was with this guy, presumably his boss, and at least this is what he explains himself to be, a second guy jumps into the conversation. Now, this guy sounds a little bit more confident than the last guy. And he jumps in and he says, oh, well, we're just here to ask you whether or not you've been paid to talk about this specific topic on your channel. And if so, we want to know who is paying you. But now that we know that, you know, nobody's paying you, there's no further information we need to gather, you know, we're going to see ourselves out and it will be okay. I keep pressing them. Who, again, are you here to talk about? Who is paying you to be here? Who are you asking about? Like, who do you work for? And they in the conversation sort of slip in that they're investigating, or they're investigators. Sorry for my foggy memory as to the exact wording of it. But that sort of put off something in my brain where I'm like, okay, so you guys are investigating whether or not I've been paid to say something, but also you're here to offer me money, but also you came to the door.
Trying to see if she's being paid by celebrities that don't like Diddy to talk shit about Diddy, to try and help them get Diddy put away. So they're like, hey, if that's happening, we're here to counter offer you. But she's not getting paid, so they just straight up out of nowhere said, hey, we'll pay you off. I wonder how many people took it.
And said that you were inquiring about ads and whether or not I'm sponsored.
I wonder how many people took it. Hold on just a second.
Ray J's take on the latest joins us now. Thank you very much for coming on short notice. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Chris. Always good to talk to you.
So, Ray J, what is your take on the suggestion that Diddy is powerful enough that he can reach out, even if behind bars, like some kind of mob boss, and get people to tell people to shut up, or I'll pay you if you shut up, and be effective?
Look, I don't know how real that is. I think, you know, when you're in jail, I think you should also know how to move and not do stupid stuff like that. I think a lot of the stories are becoming out of control and super extreme. Again, you know, you start one way, and then as it builds, there's thousands of people coming in creating a new narrative. And when you do your research or your due diligence on it, a lot of it doesn't come back real. So now you're stuck in a position to go, is any of it real, or how much of it is real? And I think that's where we are now, because they just keep piling on and on and on. And now everybody's starting to feel weird about it and starting to feel like it's all starting to look like it's one-sided against one man. And
Is Ray J paid off? Is Ray J paid off?
And people,
It's just interesting that this happens at the same time that Amala is saying that she was attempted to be paid off. It's just interesting, all right? It's just interesting.
By certain people. So I directly asked them, it seems like you guys came to this door under false pretenses, and now you're saying that you're investigating something. So which one is it? Are you here to pay and take up ad space or be a sponsor, or are you here investigating something? And then finally they come out in this conversation and say that they are private investigators, and they will not disclose who they've been paid by, who they are working for. But essentially the story that I got is that they are traveling around and I guess knocking the doors of different influencers who are having conversations about these topics, about P. Diddy and his connections to celebrities, to see whether or not they've been funded by somebody to start having these conversations. And they're trying to decipher what that is. And they said through their investigating into people talking about P. Diddy and his connection to influencers, they found that a lot of the conversations are just being had by bots. Like bots are just spamming this information out on the internet. I don't know anything about that. I have no idea what they're talking about there.
They're not talking about anything. They're bullshitting, try and get you on their side.
But they go on to, explain that this is what they're doing, and then they say, we'll pay for you to disclose who would be paying you, and we'll also pay more on top of whatever it is they're paying you to sort of push the opposite story. Now, they don't explain what the opposite story. Again, they don't explain who they're working for. So I'm asking them again, who hired you to be
I think the opposite story is what Ray J just said.
here? Who is the one who is making sure that you're at my door right now asking, not my door, but a door that I used to live at, asking these questions? They won't say who. Then I'm saying, okay, if you guys are private investigators, what is the name of your LLC or what is the name of your corporation? Give me that, because you're willing to own up to the fact that you're being private investigators. Which company is this person paying to? They won't say. They even go as far as to say, we don't have an LLC and we don't have a corporation. Whoever their client is paying them directly to their name. Now, I did get names from these guys. I won't say the full names out on this channel.
Yet. Because when this all comes to light, their names are going to be said.
But they did give me 2 names. So we're currently looking into who these 2 private investigators are who are
most likely not even private investigators. They're probably Diddy Goons.
hired by some sort of outside organization or celebrity or firm or somebody to travel around.
Probably wasn't even Diddy. It was probably one of the celebrities who were really good friends with Diddy.
They would give no information as to the company that they work for. Apparently they're working, independent, but also in tandem. And when they get paid, it's paid to their name. And, I have no clue exactly what's going on here. I'm trying to think of any
Sounds extremely illegal and shady and in the shadows.
further information that I would have gleaned from them. They also said, since nobody's paying you, you're not going to see us again. We don't have any other questions for you. There's no further movement in this process. They claimed they had a list of 10 other influencers.
You got them on camera? Should have immediately started filming them. Immediately. Like what? Are you people stupid? Maybe they did film them. Maybe they do have footage of them.
I don't know if there are 10 other influencers, in California, 10 other influencers, nationwide, but
I need a list of all the people who are defending Diddy right now. Let's go.
apparently 10 other people who they're going to visit to ask this question and presumably offer them money if they've been paid by somebody to talk about this. They mentioned that they had come from Detroit, so apparently they were visiting somebody in Detroit and had knocked their door to ask them these questions. Y'all, I don't know what's going on. Now, there's a few different arenas we can go into with these guys visiting. The whole conversation ended somewhat amicably. I said, you know what, forgive me for being hostile, but I have no idea who you are or what you're doing or what pretenses you are coming to this person's door under, and I need that information. And they just essentially said, oh, you're not gonna hear anything more from us. We're investigators, we're former law enforcement, apparently they're from New York, and now that they've gotten this information from me, I'm never gonna see them again, and that's it. Who knows whether or not any of that is true? Who knows whether or not the names they gave me are true? Who knows whether or not these guys are actual private investigators? Y'all, I have no clue. But it was very clear, and I told them, in the way you're asking me these questions, it's very clear that you're here to ask me about P. Diddy and these celebrities, so just just be forward about that. Why would you come to the door and ask, you know, this very vague question? And clearly they didn't know much about YouTube content. They didn't know much about how to pitch this to people. And they were just trying to get somebody to admit that I have been paid so that they could go down whatever route they were going to go down once they figured that out. So luckily I don't live there. Luckily, I got on the phone to be able to speak with them. But had I said I was paid by somebody, like, where does it go from there? And what were these guys actually here to do?
I think the scariest part is now Diddy. If these people are working for Diddy or other people, they know where the journalists live. That's crazy. Or they don't really, but they know where their friends do or where they operate.
Yeah, at best they're paying you for something, and then at worst it's something else. And you know, God forbid we even think about what that would be. But I'm so used to saying allegedly when we have these conversations, like allegedly this is happening, allegedly that happened, allegedly this celebrity, that celebrity. But this was real life. This literally happened. They literally showed up on your former doorstep and spoke. I was there listening on the phone. I heard the whole conversation. Your roommate's right there. She can recognize their faces now at this point. So this is getting.
Should have got pictures, videos. I mean, I guess her friend isn't really a journalist, but like, come on, man.
Real. And you know, in case you were wondering whether this is all a conspiracy theory, someone is out there with enough resources to pay investigators to look up influencers, show up on their doorsteps, and presumably attempt to bribe them to disclose who is paying them and or to spread opposite information about celebrities and or P. Diddy. So that in itself is happening, and we don't have to say allegedly about that.
Right. And I'm just wondering, okay, so there's so many different ways this could go. Like, what was the goal here? I mean, if we're going to take them at their word, which was complete word salad. When I tell you the first guy I spoke to was so nervous in whatever his initial pitch. Yeah, literally Kamala Harris speaking to me on the phone. He could not give me a straight answer to anything that I asked him, which I'm like, if you're a really good private investigator, like, wouldn't you be really good at like your pitch to people about why you're at their doorstep and trying to get this information?
And not going to the wrong doorstep? Like, are you kidding me? These guys aren't private investigators.
Or were you just not ready to be met with hostility about why you're on somebody's doorstep asking these questions, and you thought that was going to like
at the wrong doorstep
blow over smoothly? Did you think you were going to be dealing with like a dumb influencer who doesn't know anything and is just going to take you up on the idea that you're here to ask them about paying them for a certain message on their doorstep? So very, very strange. So if I take them at their word, then I guess a celebrity somewhere in the realm of what we've spoken about on this channel has hired somebody to go around and speak to these influencers to pay them to put out positive press about them. Or at the
not just that, they're trying to follow the trail to find out if there's somebody that doesn't like Diddy, if they are paying people to put out this information so they can probably, you know, go do bad things to them.
very least to maybe stop talking about them, or to find out if there's some other larger entity that is making sure that influencers go after them. Now, who that celebrity could be, I have no idea. In regard to P. Diddy, I'm like thinking through our content. Who have we spoken about? Of course, we've spoken about Sean Diddy Combs. We've spoken about, you know, Beyonce and Jay-Z. We've spoken about J-Lo. We've spoken about Oprah. I mean, Cardi sprinkled in a few times here and there, but no like direct accusations or
what if it's Kevin Hart?
Allegations against these people. Jay-Z, I think, is the most we've really like laid out maybe some concerns allegedly.
It also doesn't have to be the celebrities directly. It could just be it could be like a Clinton situation where they just know what you want done and they go ahead and do it for you, so you're not liable or accountable.
About who he is as an individual. So what were these people there for? Were they hired by a celebrity and somebody who's just trying to put out good PR for themselves? Was it something more nefarious than that? Are they trying to go after the influencers that are talking about these things? Are they trying to intimidate them? I've reached out to a few people in the space who are talking about similar stories to see if they've had any encounters like this. So far, no hits back. But if there's anybody who's watching this who is talking about these stories, who has experienced this, please reach out to me, and let's see if the stories at all match up with what's going on here. But I am not going forth quietly about
whoever is doing this, trying to help Diddy. I can tell you, I can guarantee you 100%, this does not help Diddy.
This immediately after this happened, I'm like, okay, we have to go and we have to talk about this publicly. There's no way for whatever this situation is, it needs to be out there that this happened so that people know that this took place. Now, we do have this news story out today, literally covered today, this morning by ABC News. And this is about Sean Diddy Combs and what he's doing leading up to his, prospective trial with witnesses and this, that, and the other. Let's watch.
The latest on Sean Diddy Combs. Prosecutors are accusing Combs of trying to contact prospective witnesses and obstruct the case against him. Our senior investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky, is here with more on that. Good morning.
You can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. That's some mob shit.
Good morning to you, Aaron.
Good morning, Robin. Sean Combs going to be asking a judge this week to release him on bail, but prosecutors now say the argument for detention has only gotten stronger. This morning.
How are they going to release him on bail? If you release him on bail, you know what he's going to do? He's going to bail. And then he's going to go after people. You can't let him out. He's already proven that you can't let him out.
Federal prosecutors are accusing Sean Diddy Combs of escalating his attempts to influence the jury pool and subvert his criminal case. Almost immediately after arriving at the federal jail in Brooklyn, prosecutors say Combs started using telephone accounts of at least 8 other inmates to call people not on his approved contact list.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go through the records of all the other inmates too now. So try and find Diddy. They probably already did. They probably already did.
Prosecutors allege Combs frequently instructs family members and his attorneys to add other individuals via three-way call, which is not allowed. On some of those calls, prosecutors say Combs is explicit about his intention to use public statements to sway potential jurors, including this Instagram post by Diddy's kids.
Happy birthday to Daddy.
Prosecutors say Combs enlisted family members to plan and execute a social media campaign around the defendant's birthday, the first time we heard his voice from behind bars.
I need to look into that campaign. I need to see what the good comments are on that.
Thank you for being by my side and supporting me. I love y'all. I got the best family in the world.
Prosecutors say Combs then monitored audience engagement from the video.
If the judge, in fact, feels as though Diddy is trying to circumvent the rules of the prison and he's doing things outside of what he's allowed to do, that's going to carry a lot of weight when we talk about being released on bail, because what they're trusting is that you will abide by the rules that allow you to be out.
Combs has been held in jail since his September arrest on racketeering.
I think they're going to let him out. I think they will. And we're going to see some shady shit.
Conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. He has pleaded not guilty.
Okay. So he's doing that with witnesses. I have no direct link to any of these individuals. In fact, I'm just a YouTuber who has tangentially covered some of these stories that are circulating as this news comes out. So it does lead me to theorize that some sort of celebrity that is intertwined in the stories that are being spoken about here has maybe hired somebody to go out here and to reach out to influencers who are talking about these things in hopes of maybe finding someone higher who is funding them, or having them sign an NDA, or getting them to shut up about it, or even better than that, getting them to put out more positive press about this celebrity, or sort of walk back on the stories that they're talking about, because they mentioned on several occasions while they were at her door paying money to change the narrative, or paying money to share the opposite story, or paying money to get me to say a certain thing. But interestingly enough, as soon as they found out I was not paid to talk about the initial stories, that offer was seemingly off the table. They only wanted to offer that to people who had been paid previously.
They're only wanting to offer the bribe to people who have accepted the bribe from the other side.
To share the stories that they're sharing, which makes red flags go up in my mind. It makes me think you just want the person to admit, yeah, I'm being paid by somebody, by sort of coaxing it out of them by offering them money. What happens after they admit?
By the way, is a fucking bribe. That is a bribe.
That they were paid by somebody. Are you really going to offer them money to share the opposite narrative? I don't know. It seemed more like a carrot dangled so that they could get the information about who hired them or paid them to say what it is they said. Guys, I don't know.
It's tough. We have the hard facts of what you experienced today and the fact that this happened. And then all we can do is speculate as to who they're really working for and what the motive may be, but it's I think very plausible given the first part of that clip that we watched of Good Morning America from this morning was about Diddy's effort to reach out to witnesses, but then they went into this kind of aim that he has of a social media campaign and trying to sway jurors and reach jurors. And to me, it's plausible that there would be an effort on the part of his legal team. Imagine you have a ton of resources at your disposal as far as financially because you're being faced with prison and you're breaking the bank to do whatever necessary. And I could imagine in an effort to turn over every stone and do everything that they can, it'd be like, okay, well, what if we tried to influence public opinion, sway jurors, by reaching out to influencers in order to have them spread more of a positive narrative. But what you mentioned about the fact that only them specifically going after influencers who had previously been paid to spread negative information is the curveball in that theory, because if you were just trying to spread positive information, then you wouldn't need it to be somebody who's previously spread negative, unless that was more of a targeted effort again. But something's going on, money's being thrown around, investigators are showing up at influencers' doorsteps. We're trying to make sense of it here, but it is a crazy tangled web. And man, again, like it's crazy. We were talking before the show that you can just start trying to share true information, start trying to shed light on a very real issue that has real victims, by the way. And the next thing you know, you're wrapped up in something where private investigators are showing up in your doorstep. It's just insane.
Yeah, supposed private investigators. I mean, who even knows? And these guys were trying to obviously I was coming at them I wasn't rude, but I was extremely matter of fact, no, tell me who you're working for. Tell me what you can. Who's paying you? If you can't tell me who's paying you, where are they?
You know what I would have done? As soon as I got that bribe, they ain't leaving. They ain't gonna be leaving. Because we're calling the police. But I have the means to do that because we have large men around here that can prevent other men from leaving. And it would be happening. I'd be getting their license plates. I'd be getting their faces. Don't need their names. Just need their faces and whatever vehicle they're driving.
Paying to? What's the name of your company? Who exactly do you work for? And they kept trying to calm me down. One of them was saying, oh, I'm a fan of your show. Don't worry, we're not here for anything nefarious. We're not here to do anything beyond.
We're not here for anything evil. Says every evil person ever.
What it is that we're asking, even though when you came to her door, you were very unclear about what it was that you were asking. So who knows exactly what these individuals were actually trying to get to and what they were planning. I'll put out their first names, Robert and Peter, okay, for those of you who may have a story similar to this or you experience something.
Those aren't their real names. No shot.
Something similar to this. But then again, I mean, if they're going and knocking the doors of these influencers, they could have a whole team of private investigators who are just going and hitting up different people. Yep, using different names. Who even knows if it was their real name? Guys, I do not know what's going on. And I really don't have anything else to talk about on the show today. This is going to be the extent of it. You just never...
Who else got contacted? I want to know. Who else is talking about this?
I think you're oh, okay, I'm going to cover gonna cover a story, okay, whatever. We put it out there, and of course these people are extremely powerful. There's a little part of you that's like, okay, what happens on the other end of this, and if so, who's behind it? And again, I went through my list of celebrities. I'm like, we covered J-Lo and Usher and Beyonce and Jay-Z and Oprah. I'm like, all of these people have disposable funds to just throw at anybody to go and research all of this, to go and knock the doors, to go and figure out why people are talking about this, if they're being funded. I wonder.
The Kardashians probably have more money than anybody, included in all this Diddy stuff.
Why the presumption is somebody is funding them to talk about these things, and that somebody has like a network of influencers that they're paying to talk about these stories. And it makes you think about what the network is behind all of the stories that we're hearing, and if there's people like pitting, you know, influencers and social media against one another, and if so, for what reason? Like, are other celebrities trying to bring other people down? Or, you know, why would somebody be funding celebrities talking about these things directly?
That's the sketchiest part for me, is like there's probably, that makes it sound like there's retribution involved in some way if you're trying to specifically find out, like, okay, who paid you to say something. And like you said before, it kind of betrays a level of ignorance as it pertains to the social media, you know, engine and how things work in social media. And people just, creators just make content that is engaging and that people are interested in, and there's massive interest around this story. And then, you know, people like you try to give commentary and lay things out for people of what's actually happening, and you know, just draw attention to things, especially when, again, there's real victims involved. And that's, I think, your primary interest in the story is justice and truth. But
I think they were just paid and they had no choice. That's probably what happened. Why they were so nervous about it.
I guess maybe that's outside of their imagination, to where all they can, the world that they live in is one of, you know, vengeance, and, you know, somebody's paying you to spread bad things about me and I want to get back at them. And that's what's,
yeah, that's what I'm feeling it's like too. It's like they think that social media influencers are the same thing as celebrities that are fine with taking the bribe because they're all about money, and we're not. We're in it for the love of the game, man. I'm making hardly any money from this at all. Go ahead, give me a bribe. I'll take the bribe. I will take that bribe. But the very next day, I'm going to spill everything. I'll even put out a video for you defending it. And then I will make another video reacting to that video, tearing it apart.
where it gets really kind of dark and scary, and it's very, very intense to be caught up in the middle of something like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm thinking, like, okay, what is all the different things leading up to this? Like, if Trump hadn't won this last election, would this even be happening right now? Because we,
you know what she should have done? Been like, oh, you want to know who's paying me? Actually, Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is paying everybody. He's the one who's paying everybody. He really has it out for Diddy. And then they run with that story. Man, that'd be amazing.
know, like, this is the candidate that's probably going to unearth a lot of the stuff that's happening. And maybe these people are quaking, like, trying to figure out, how do we get a handle on this? How do we figure out, like, how this is happening, how this information is getting out, because they're so used to the information. Like,
I wonder what they would have done if you would have been like, it's me. I'm the one who's paying everybody. What are you going to do about it?
not being available to the public. But yeah, the assumption that somebody is paid for you to say the things you're saying is kind of wild. And it maybe speaks to more how they function throughout the world and, like, how they get their stories out. But I'm very curious, because they did say, I don't know, they said 10 other influencers they had to visit. I'm like, had they knocked any other doors before mine? I have not heard of anybody who said that this is happening. As far as I know, this, I'm the first person for this to happen to. Who else is going to be on this list? I tried, like, reaching out to other people. I'm like, who else is talking about these things, and have they reached out to them? Apparently not so far. I mean, we're waiting on some responses from other people, but, like, where else are these guys headed?
And of course, if any of them took the money, they probably wouldn't tell us, you know?
Right. And then it's like, okay, what is that whole process after?
Yeah, we just got to find who's defending Diddy. That's a good place to start. Ray J.
Do you take the money from these guys? I'm sure they're going to have you like sign an NDA. Like, what is it? What is the script that they want you to put out?
NDA doesn't hold up if they're bribing you, because bribes are illegal.
Like, in my I'm just thinking it's not logical. Like, why would you send a private investigator to somebody's door who is not at all prepared for the sort of act that they have to put on in trying to get this information out of you? And then after it, why would you have that same private investigator make the offer for the money they're going to pay you for the opposite narrative? These guys did not seem prepared either way, with either answer I would have given them, to sort of move on to whatever the next step was of the conversation. So that has left me very confused as to what their true motivations were in being on my doorstep. And like I said, the first guy who spoke to me was sort of like, oh, not nice and kind of softer and, you know, like stumbled over his words. Oh, I'm a fan of your show. I've seen some of your content. Who knows whether or not that's true. And clearly there was some sort of like hierarchy at play, because the second guy stepped in and was like far more dominant in what he was trying to explain, but they still did not have a strong grasp on what they were trying to get at. When I tell you there was no like clear and concise questioning as far as what story in particular are you asking me about? Like, what at what timeline are you talking about being paid for? Is there a particular message that I shared that you're trying to ask who I was paid by? And, you know, Taylor and others have said, like, you know, you should have pretended that you had been paid and like see where they go from there, or what further details they ask for, or like try to figure out what story specifically or what person specifically.
Are you stupid? You should have done that. You should have done it.
They're asking about. I could have been like, oh, well, yeah, I get paid all the time to say all types of different things. Like, you need to be more specific. Who are you asking about, and like what timeline, which payment are you referring to? But then you run the risk of like, what if these are some like really, like what if these are goons at the door and they're trying to figure out if you're paid, and as soon as they get information, you're done. I mean, that is a far more dramatic, you know, characterization than what I hope was actually taking place, but you just never know. But they said, we're former law enforcement. Apparently they're from New York. They'd been to Detroit. Now they're here. They got 10 other doors on their...
Probably not even real accents.
10 of the influencers they got to go and visit to ask these questions.
I wonder who those next 10 influencers were going to be.
But when I say sus, I mean sus with a capital S. And Taylor was there for it. At first, I'm thinking, like, this is going to be nothing. Let me get on the phone and just talk to these two random guys who have shown up at the door and tell them to, like, kick rocks and keep moving. But very quickly, it turned very weird. And you could tell something was just not right.
Yeah, and once I kind of got the gist of what they're trying to do, and I was like, okay, well, this obviously has nothing to do with you because you're not being paid to say anything. So I was like, okay, let's cut these guys off, get out of here. But I think they made the mistake of barking up the wrong tree with you, because it started, you took on your, no, let me make you clarify your argument, clarify your position, like you're in a Jubilee debate, and started to kind of go after them and get them to specify what they're there for and what they wanted. And because they were being so imprecise with their words and, you know, talking in circles and giving the word salad, and I think they were not expecting that, and they were on the back foot. They dropped the name Diddy before anyone else did. He mentioned the potential connections with celebrities and stuff like that. So we didn't bring that up. They did. And I don't know if that was a misstep on their part to kind of, you know, allude to what they're involved in, or if that was just part of the act and trying to invoke things. Again, we don't really know for sure, but yeah, it was more of like a get smart situation than James Bond on your front door there today. But it was great to watch you go into debate mode with them, and I don't think they were prepared for it.
I was like, what the hell is going on? And it seemed like, you know, like, if I told you I'm going to hire you to be a private investigator, and I need you to get this specific piece of information from somebody, and I'm going to send you to an address, and I need you to figure that out, and then I like don't give you any other information that you can pack that in to sort of cushion this experience for the person you're about to go question. It was just like that. You know, if I was going to go and ask somebody and figure out if they were being paid by a specific entity to say something, I would have a a full-blown preparation as to why I'm there. Even when they were listing off like topics that I talk about on the show that they wanted to specifically ask me about, they'd be like, P. Diddy's connection to other celebrities, other stuff. They didn't even have like other examples, so I knew what you were there for. I'm like, you're putting a particular emphasis on P. Diddy and his connection to other celebrities, so just tell me that that's why you're here. Just be straight up about it, because it's so much weirder to start on
100% that's why they were there. There's no other reason that they could be there. To tell you to give the opposite narrative of what's going on with Diddy. There's no other explanation.
On like a whole different premise for why you're here, and then to try to like lead me somewhere. I'm like, I'm not an idiot. I'm gonna figure out exactly why you're here. Guys, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here, but that's the story for today, and I'll keep you guys posted. I figured, at the very least, this is an interesting story to put on the channel now that it's been experienced firsthand. I wasn't expecting it at all. At most, this is a little bit of a security blanket that it's out publicly that this happened today, and in case anything else crazy happens on the other end of this. And I just have to wonder, who is behind this? And if anybody else is in this space, has a story like this, they experience it, please reach out to me and let me know exactly how that went and what information you got from these individuals, if it's even the same individuals, if they're even at your door under the same
I think we're going to be seeing a few people at least come out in the next few days or weeks saying that they had some people come to them about Diddy.
Premise is they were at mine, because apparently this is going to happen to 10 more people. So if there's any of the 10 of you out there that experience this, please reach out to me. And there's got to be something else.
That's probably just the 10 that they're gonna go do, and maybe not even. They may have been completely lying about that. But they might have 10, but there's gonna be another couple of guys that's got 10, and another couple of guys that's got 10
going on. Yeah, wild.
Here. I see a few super chats. Should we?
Yeah, let's read them.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. I can't believe that happened. And I believe them 100%. There's no way that didn't happen. The way that they explained it, the way they kept their story straight. Wow. I'm a fan of Amala Ekpunobi. I don't want her to go away. And if nobody comes out and said that somebody tried to bribe them, then we know that the campaign was successful, other than the one. And we got some influencers who are moles, who are being paid off by Diddy.